Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Today, I wanted to go beyond the words, beyond the hype, beyond the nice slides that I'll present to you, to look at concrete examples in which we can leverage behavioral data today in order to help your customers and your brands. So we'll look at two fascinating examples about how we used and leveraged insight, data, and AI to bring the customers and the brands to the experience world. So something that you will hear around across many, many industries is that today we are experiencing the fastest rate of change when it comes to audience behavior. The change in behavior, in how the consumers interact with the brands, happen in such a fast pace that what today seems to be working, and you have all tried it, 6 months from now just stops working. And everyone wonders why. But the reality is the consumer behavior is changing extremely fast. So let me give you some context. Let's look at some of the data from our own platform before we jump to the examples. You all remember the COVID days. And you can see in a matter of weeks, we went from experiencing all real-life experiences, from concert to meeting with our friends to going to our restaurant. In a matter of weeks, we went from 99% in real life to around less than 10%. And at that time, a lot of experts start predicting what the future will look like without using any data, just with their own assumptions. The reality was shocking. In a matter of another 8 weeks, we went back almost to the same level of offline and in real life engagement. This is not 2022 or 2023. We are talking August and July 2020. So with this context in mind, when you see how much the behavior of the consumer change from week to week, let us look at this question. How can you leverage behavioral data to inspire and engage your audience through experiences? And in order to walk you through the two examples, a lot of the question that comes when I do this presentation is, how do you arrive to this level of data and insight, right? So let me tell you first about how we built the toolkit to be able to do this forecast and to do this insight. And I'll tell you how you can use the same. So as Fever, we are the science, the data, the digital arm of the entertainment industry. The entertainment and the culture industry is based on art. And we decided to come in and to bring the data and science into it. And what we found out is that the combination of both is a fascinating combination. It gives you such a power of insight that allow you really to go ahead of the curve. So we created an ecosystem around the entertainment industry that allow us to collect the data. And without this ecosystem, it's impossible to arrive to the level of insight that anyone could have. The reason why is that you will be looking at only one part of the consumer journey. And when you have one part, what you end up having is a very siloed opinion, not insight. You will think, you will have a meeting, someone will be like, I'm sure we should do it this way, right? Because this is what the data is telling you. But if you are not on the upper funnel, you don't know how the people will react. So the ecosystem we built is built on 3 pillars. One is the Fever Marketplace, which is a discovery platform around more than 150 cities around the world, from Dubai to San Francisco, to Rio de Janeiro, to Seoul, to Tokyo, in which we allow people to discover experiences and events to do in real life. Attached to that, we created the Secret Media Network, which is a hyper-local entertainment digital media that, again, in every city around the world, it's called Secret. So in Dubai, it's Secret Dubai, for those who know it. In London, it's Secret London. In Paris, it's Paris Secret, Madrid Secreto, all over the world. we use the combination of both the platform, which is down funnel where people are coming to discover an experience and to go and buy an event and go to that event, go to a restaurant, attend a concert. But at the secret level, at the media level, it's already upper funnel. People are still want to know what's happening in the city, what's cool in Dubai, what's cool in Abu Dhabi, what's happening in San Francisco. The combination of both allowed us to build what is today the closest you could have to a magic ball that can tell you the future success of an event. That's the insight. And then we used that in partnership with some of the largest partners of the world, and I'll show you a few examples, from Netflix to Warner Brothers to Candlelight to Van Gogh, to help the event organizer, the creators, the brands to develop and improve their experiences. And that built for us the last pillar, which is the Fever original event, which is the event for which we used our data, we used our insight to improve the experience. The two platforms work together. So on the upper funnel, when you are still, as a consumer, you're still navigating the city. You arrive to a city, you are in San Francisco, you are in Abu Dhabi, you want to know what's happening in that city. You are still in that moment where you read about the article, you look at them in social media, you look at them in TikTok, you look at them on Twitter, you look at them on Instagram, you are still in the discovery phase. At that moment, we are collecting the data. We're trying to understand how are you interacting with that. Why are you preferring this timing versus this other time? And then when you move into the moment where it's like, I want to buy, or I want to go and attend a concert, or an event, or a brunch, or a dinner, on the platform, we try to understand how do you interact with that purchase funnel. Where do you want to go? Which part of the city? What's the pricing you are comfortable with? Do you want to go at the 4 p.m. or the 7 p.m.? Right. And combining the data from both give you access to that phenomenal amount of data. And we've been running Fever for almost 9 years now. So you cannot get this data in a month or two or a year or two. It's a combination of 150 cities, 9 years, hundreds of millions of interactions with the consumers that allow us today to arrive where we are. So in all cities around the world, we use Secret, and Secret is a very engaging platform. Today, with Secret Media Network, we are the most engaging and the largest entertainment media network in the world. So this is just from 2022. The level of engagement we have across the platform is double or triple any competitor around the world. The reason why, because it's a media built by data scientists. It's fascinating to go to the room behind this. It's hyper-local, but it's all run by algorithms. Everything is connected together. We are able to understand how people interact, why they interact, what is engaging in matters of milliseconds, not minutes. And that created the most powerful, engaging, what is today considered an entertainment media network. So now let's move into how you use the data. So we take the data from both Secret Media Network and the Fever app, and we try to help the creator, the producers, the promoter, the event organizers to really create the next best thing. And here is a few examples, and I'll talk a few of them, but we worked with Warner Brothers on the Harry Potter Enchanted Forest. This was between Manchester and Liverpool. We worked with Netflix on the Stranger Things experience. I'll talk about it a little bit later. Worked with the team behind Banksy. We have Titanic exhibition here in Dubai. We have few of these experiences. Dining in the Dark, which is in Blue Waters. Candlelight, I'll talk about it a little bit later on. And what we did with all of those experiences, we brought in the data and the insight. And we looked at the behavioral data and we said, how can we help improve that? Both from a B2C side, selling to a consumer, or from a B2B side, engaging with a brand. Okay? So from those two angles, let's take two very concrete examples, one on the B2C side, one on the B2B side, and look of how we did that. So we're going to start with the music side. So the first question we are asking ourselves is, how can we leverage the behavioral data to reinvent the music in a way that the new generation will be able to enjoy it? So I don't know if a few of you know this. So this is the Teatro Real, which is the Opera of Madrid. One of the most prominent operas in the world, and they have some of the best classic music teams, performers around the world that you can ever attend. And what they have noticed that year after year, even though they have the best performers and the best artists, there is less and less people passing through the door, unfortunately. And we had a discussion with them to try to understand why. So we were looking at our data, doing the analysis, and we came up with an insight that the current format is not fitting the new generation. The 20 to 30 to 40 years old don't want to go into a 2.5 hours concert where you need to be dressed up, where it comes at a certain amount of time, where there is an intermission. So we went in and we presented the insights. And you told us, look, we didn't do this for years, not for decades. We did this for hundreds of years. And with all the respect to you and your young startup, we'll continue doing what we do. And we said, okay, if we had all of this insight, if we really believe that there is a new format that the new generation can use to discover music, can we do anything with it? So we sat with another producer of classic music in Europe, in Madrid, and we said, okay, let's run a proper analytical exercise. Let's use exact behavioral data to see what is the exact format that will be the biggest success around the world. And this is what we call in our world the demand analysis of concept definition, right? So what we do here is that we look at every element of your activation, right? From the moment you come to the door, do you have F&B or a bar before or after? What is the length of that experience? It's 2.5 hours. Should we go to 2 hours? Should we go to an hour and a half? Even less than that. What location should we go to? What type of program should we have? Should we have the artist speaking to the audience or silent? Every element of it. What's the atmosphere of it? Should we be closer to the stage or far from the stage, right? And you cannot ask consumers that because they don't know. If they have never been to a shorter concert, they don't know. So what they tell you, honestly, is wrong. So you need to try to instill that information from the media, from the real interaction of people with other experiences. So we ended up with a concept that we were extremely happy with because when you look at the slotting on the matrix, it performed extremely high versus anything else. So we said, look, this seems to be fascinating. We should jump and do it. Okay? I'll show you the concept we created in 20 seconds, and we'll talk about the result. And this is not a long time ago. This is 2019, just pre-COVID. Can we play the video? No, maybe we are not able to. So let me then walk you through the Candlelight concept we created that I wanted to show you in the video. We went from 2.5 hours to 65 minutes. We brought concert that used to be 2,000 people to 200 people. It's intimate atmospheres. The artist is very close to the audience. The artist will speak to the audience between songs to explain why Vivaldi created this song or why Chopin went ahead and did this. We changed the program to go from the classic music of Chopin and Vivaldi to create tribute in classic music to Taylor Swift, Bruno Mars, ABBA, and we go on and on. And we launched this concept in Madrid in 2019. Today we have it in Dubai. We have it also in Abu Dhabi. This weekend we had a few concerts here. We had standing ovation both in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, so we really love the concept. And we were able to have more than 5 million guests attend those concerts around the world. So you move from a concept that no one wants to attend to 5 million concerts around the world. And in a matter of literally months, we went from the first test we did in 2019, in July, in 18 months, we were able to do 80 cities. And the reason we were able to do that is because we built the concept with the data. So we're able to assess across the globe which city will want that concept to go first, and then we will launch the concept there. Now, with that in mind, when you use the data to build something, you need to have the humility to sit back and tell yourself, did it really work or it was just like luck, right? So we needed to go back to the data and look, did we do the right thing? And what we wanted to build is a concept that the new generation will love. So as you might imagine, the classical point is looking at how we will come to that audience. So first of all, let's look at the journey of growth of that 5 million users we got into the Candlelight. Don't forget that when we started in July, it was fascinating days. We came up until March, and unfortunately, COVID happened. And you can see the COVID. Like, we literally touched zero because people were forced to stay home. There was lockdown all over the world, and we ended up from one of our best concepts ever to zero. What we did is we went back to the data and we continued to look, what is the right format that will work in COVID? How would people want to enjoy such concepts in COVID? And we continued building on it. And in a matter of few weeks, in July 1st, we were able to launch a new concept that was more distance, more COVID-friendly, right? Where the audience was separated from each other, so we built a different format for the Candlelight. However, same thing I said in the beginning, within a matter of weeks again, you can see that it started to drop again, right? It looked like an amazing concept, but what happened is that people were also tired of this COVID-friendly concept. We go back to drawing board, we look at the data again, we reinvent ourselves, and we go ahead. It's extremely important as a lesson if you want to use data and behavioral data. What works today will not work 3 months from now. And having that stubborn opinion will just kill your business. You look at it, say, okay, we did it once, we can do it another time. You need to have the humility to kill your own baby. On, metaphorically, of course, please. Now, let's look at the age distribution of the concept. We were able to move the demographics to a core of 20 to 40 years old, right? And that confirmed to us what we thought when we started to create this concept. We were able to create a concept that the new generation was willing to go to and attend. So, with that being said, that's the first part where we talked about the B2C side, how we engaged the audience. One other fascinating part is the brand part. It's like, can you engage a brand through real life experiences? Can you look at the data and bring any international brand and engage with it, not through digital media campaigns, but like in real life engagement? And how can you use the data? And that will be our second example. And for that, the question we are trying to address is how we can leverage this data to engage a global brand, but through an immersive experience. And for that, I'm bringing an experience that, a show that I believe many of you have seen called Stranger Things. So Stranger Things is one of the largest success of Netflix in the last 4 years. 4 seasons just aired, and it's the most watched, one of the most watched show of Netflix. We worked in partnership with Netflix for the last 3 years to transform the shows they have into real-life experiences. So we have many partnership with Netflix, from Money Heist, La Casa del Papel, to Army of the Dead, to Stranger Things, Bridgerton. So Stranger Things immersive experience is an experience in which, in real life, you go in and you live an episode of the series, and then it's followed by F&B and immersive experience. It's a fantastic big experience. It's touring the world. We have it now in Paris and in the US. It was in San Francisco, in New York, in London, and we toured that experience around the world. And when you look at the experience, just for you to get a sense, around 40% of the experience that Fever and Netflix built is around that immersive part, that engagement and immersion into the episode of Netflix, right? The other 60% is an immersion F&B part, right? We call it the mixtape, and this is where you are in the 80s. For those who watch Stranger Things, you are with your Walkmans, the slice of pizza, and you live the 80s part, right? So, and someone will go through the experience, and they will spend more than an hour to 2 hours in the journey between the immersive experience and the immersion F&B. Now, let's look a little bit at the data, right? Because that's what matters, the behavioral data. What did we find out? We found out that that the consumers, the guests we have, were a lot more engaged and stayed a lot more in the F&B and the merch part than any other experience around the world, by more than 32%. The reason why, there was nostalgia there. Because you lived the 80s, it feels different. You have already went through the dopamine of the immersive part, so you really want to go and enjoy and sit in that part. The users also who used the merchant F&B part rated the experience higher. So there is a part of the experience, of the happiness of the experience coming from the fact that you engage with that F&B and merch part. And the last part is that, this is fascinating, we had more people taking pictures of the gift shops than people taking picture of the experience. That can tell you something. That can tell you that there is, in that merchant F&B part, a very powerful place to engage another international brand. And that's what we did. The most relevant brand, a brand that was born in the 80s, same time as Stranger Things is done, is Reebok. So what we did is, Fever and Netflix, who are the organizers of the event, we partner with Reebok, which is one of the international brands, as our style partner, and we said, can we engage you in this experience? And we did this across 3 pillars. The first one was what we call the mixtape integration. So we brought in physical activation of Reebok into our mixtape. And I'll show you a few pictures later. The second part is we allowed the brand to give their key stakeholders, their top client, their top partner, access and VIP to the experience, to experience it while having Reebok integrated into the experience. And finally, we had a campaign from SMN, Secret Media Network, that I mentioned before, that allow us to complement the in real life effort with digital effort. Let me show you a few examples here. So for those who watch the show, to the yearbook activation that's there, we also added what we call product placement in real life. So if you can see in the basket, so when you are walking across the experience, you see the Reebok on real life while you are going through the experience. It's extremely powerful when you do the inception of this versus having just an activation for the brand. Because people are going to watch or to attend the Stranger Things experience that Fever and Netflix has created. So when you see a brand, that brand attachment to your enjoyment and your dopamine makes it very, very, very powerful. We also had influencer launch parties for Reebok. We did the media coverage. And we also had purchase opportunity for the particular sneakers that were available there. We added QR code. You can have them, e-commerce, and you can purchase them. So this was a fully integrated 360 integration of the brand into the experience. So this happened in London, and you can see some of the pictures here. But the idea here is that we were able to understand the data and insights from the behavior of the consumer of that particular experience. If you don't do that, you will bring any other brand that will not be relevant, that will not be on the merch side, and yes, you would have done something. No one will know the result, but the result will be poor. And of course, we can debate, we can sit and meet, and we see what, because everyone has an opinion. The way we try to do it is completely differently. We try to look at the data to define and invent the experiences, and then we look at the data and we find what is the right partner to come through. So before finishing, one final thought in the 1 minute, 20 seconds that I have is that when we brought all of these experiences and Fever to the Middle East, we started more than 2 years ago looking at the data, having the insight, and defining to ourselves what is the best experiences for the Middle East, what is the right engagement in the Middle East. We have an amazing journey. Today, if you go to our platform, you will see some of the coolest experiences. We had a murder mystery, which is the first immersive experience happening in a SIF. We have Dining in the Dark in Blue Water. We have Candlelight all over Dubai with some amazing and different type of programming. And all of those programs you see were multiple data. All the brands that you are engaging with there are based on data. So thank you very much for your time here and for listening to me. So I think we have 2 minutes for any questions if you have on the use of behavioral data. And from this, we can go on. Yes, please.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Rob Curlio from Trust IT Services, and very interesting presentation. I'd like to know, like, how long did it take from when you did the behavioral analysis and when all the data came out and all the insights to implementing the solutions that you've just shown today? Maybe if you can give a rough idea of when did it go from recognizing the problem up to the implementation of the solution.
It's a very good question. It really depends on, because we are organizing in real life experiences, a lot of it depends on the logistical issues in real life of getting permit and approval. But usually it will take us between 3 to 6 months on a small concept to around a year to a year and a half on a large concept like the Stranger Things experience to build it. So for example, even the creation of Stranger Things experience, it took more than a year of discussions with Netflix to find the right format, the right IP out of all of these shows. So a longer format will take more than a year. A shorter format will be 3 to 6 months. But it's hard to do it less than that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, please.
Hello. Very interesting presentation. I'm a marketer and I do events as well in the Philippines, specifically in Asia. I'm just very curious on how do you penetrate your data in a specific country, and how did you penetrate in each country? Because I saw in your data you expanded across 18 different countries, and how did you penetrate in each country, specifically in different regions on ticketing platforms? I'm just very curious because specifically in Asia, there's a lot of different ticketing platforms that are competing with each other, and what makes you unique in terms of your platform. I'm just very curious.
Very, very good. So first of all, it's a combination of two things. One, our platform and our media is hyper-local. So in South Korea, in Seoul, we are functioning in South Korean. In Tokyo, we are in Japanese. Here in Dubai, we are in English. Saudi Arabia, we are in Arabic and English. So what we have is that we are building this very hyper-local platform that allows us to really understand what exists in the market. Now, the second part is that, of course, every market is very, very local. However, the trends are global. Stranger Things have been seen around the world. Harry Potter have been read all over the world. So the insight we have from running Harry Potter experience in New York, in New Jersey, in London, in Paris, when we are bringing a Harry Potter experience here, we're able to come with years of data. Of course, you need to localize that data, but compared to any local platform that will discover Harry Potter for the first time, we have been working with Warner Brothers for years, and we have seen the engagement of consumer around the world. So what you find out is that 80% of these elements are universal, and there is 20% or 25% that are extremely local. And if you have what we call a fractal wall, right, where you sit in the local market, understanding the local market with the local team, with the local language, but you share with them the global insight, trust me, they will be able to find their way. So they don't start from an empty plate. They come from the insights on the global side, and they work into analyzing the local data and bridging the gap together. So that's how we are able to, we're today in more than 150 cities around the world. So they're an extremely global company, and this is how we were able to expand.
Okay.
Yes.
Robin.
Hi, Rachid. Morning.
Morning.
Thank you very much for that fascinating presentation. I run and I'm involved in a firm that does data and technology as well. So I'm wondering your data gathering process and how much human intervention is involved, and how much technology is involved in that data gathering process, and how much human intervention is involved in analyzing the data that you get. Thank you very much.
So we have more than 400 engineers working only on data and marketing. So the marketing team that we have is more than 400 people focused only in the headquarters on taking that data, analyzing it, and taking it forward. Of course, with the billions of data we get every second, most of it is run on an algorithmic base, right? We used AI before AI was cool, right? And we prefer not even to use the word today. The way we do it is that we run all of the algorithmics to assess the data and bring a high level of insight. And then you need a human intervention to go to it, to look at the outlier, to assess it, to question it, and see, like, does that make sense? And then should we run another test? Should we do it differently? Should we take another angle? And that's an iterative process. But you need to start from an automated algorithmic way. There is no other way. And then you need to have the human interaction, that layer on the top, that need to help you take a decision. Because you can have an insight, 30% more people are consuming on the F&B, but the real question is like, so what? Why would we do that, right? Why is that happening? And that's kind of the key point that we look at. Thank you very much, and now I'll see you in the rest of the conference.
So before you go, as you said that you are like given a data, global data. For example, I'm a new person and you're coming to me with the data. So will my decision will be kind of changed when you provide me with the data, like this is happening all over the world, this is what the Japan is doing, or this is what Dubai is doing. So will it affect, like, do you see the change in my decision? Or do you guys like have a little upper hand to make the decision a little bit up and down?
No, so that's a very good question. So the way we do it is that we put our money where our mouth is, okay? So we always co-invest with the partner, with the consumer. So when we say we believe this concept will work, we are willing to be part of it. And we see a lot of people changing their behavior. Like the last assessment we did, we saw that people will change their behavior on a daily basis or around the week. Their behavior on a Monday or a Tuesday will be completely different than a Thursday night to a Friday night. So yes, we see people really changing a lot, and you give them the right element and the right experiences, they will change with it.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.